I attempted to beat a Project Polaro hardcore Nuzlocke completely deathless on Roblox.
Now I know what you're thinking.
Pokemon on Roblox, hardcore Nuzlocke, deathless, it'll be a piece of cake.
Wrong! This game was designed to follow after the original Kanto storyline, with a few changes and additions to it, such as the new Pokemon and mechanics like Mega Evolution given to gym leaders, bonus areas such as the Isle of Armor, a slightly increased difficulty, and on top of it all, we're under hardcore Nuzlocke rules. So, is it possible to dethrone Gary once and for all even after these circumstances? Well, that's what we're here to find out.
Our journey begins in Oak's lab, where aspiring trainers like me dream of being the very best like no one. What do you mean meet me at my lab? I'm already in it, you stupid senile little... Anyways, as we talk to Professor Oak, we are presented with the choice of our starter Pokemon, having the capability to select from one of the 27 starters available. And being the cat lover that I am, I obviously went ahead and chose my favorite, which is none other than Mr. Weed Cat himself. Seriously, just look at how cute he is. Our rival, on the other hand, has to be a cheap shot and chooses whatever we are weak to. In this case, he chooses Charmander and challenges us to a battle. But Mr. Weed Cat will not be fazed by such a threat. Although it started off all wrong with a misclicked Leafage, both starters exchanged scratches until one of them turned into mincemeat, and it sure wasn't going to be Mr. Weed Cat, winning the battle with just 1 HP. Good job, buddy. After Oak gives us Pokeballs and tasks us with his parcel, we make our way to Route 1 for our first encounter, that being the almighty lord himself, Bidoof. In case you're wondering why I haven't nicknamed my Pokemon yet, that's because we don't have access to the Pokemon Renamer up until we reach Vermilion City. Immediately after capturing Bidoof, we run into youngster Albert, sending out his level 8 Sandshrew as we send our starter Pokemon. To my surprise, Leafage is not guaranteed to hit KO against this Sandshrew, which would have guaranteed me to lose our starter already if his second scratch was a crit, winning the battle and earning us 2 additional levels. The great part about this game is that all trainers that we beat can be rechallenged over and over again, giving us a much easier way to grind our XP and Pokédollars, which we will have a massive need for later on in the game. After getting Sprigatito to level up to level 12, while also training Bidoof, I made my way over to the Pokemart to buy some Quick Balls, and then to Route 22 for our next encounter. But first, we had to make quick work of youngster Johnny and his level 7 Mankey. Upon reaching the grass patch, we find our second encounter of the run, a Rattata, which is quite underwhelming since I had hoped for either gender of Nidoran or Rockruff. But don't worry, I have other plans for using that Rattata. After that, we made it over to Route 2 where we can catch our third Pokemon. But I am in a tough position because of youngster Simon. You see, I could not risk using either Bidoof or Rattata to face off against Simon, and because of that, I had to rely on Sprigatito to use Bite and hope for a flinch, since not only does his Nidoran nose peck, it even managed to poison me with Poison Point. Although I won with 1 HP, that means that as soon as I move, I lose my starter. Or so you thought. This game does not decrease our Pokemon's health while poisoned upon walking, which means our adorable kitty lives to see another day. Woohoo! Running on this grass reveals our third encounter, a Plusle. And soon after, in Viridian Forest, we find a Sentret, which I decided not to catch, since I don't have any use for it at all. Sorry buddy, maybe in an alternate universe I'd have caught you. After navigating through the forest, we finally made it to Pewter City. Since Brock has 2 Pokemon, I also wanted to match the same amount of Pokemon each gym leader has in a battle. And so, after leveling up my starter to match Brock's strongest Pokemon, Onix, it was time to challenge him for our first gym badge. Prepare to get crushed. Okay, bet.
Easy!
Anyways, after that massacre, Brock hands us our Boulder badge. And not only that, he also gives us the TM for Rock Tomb and an EXP share, which will help us a great ton in our grinding. Thanks, pal. With the increased level cap, this now gives us the opportunity to level up and evolve both Sprigatito into Florigato and Bidoof into B-Barrel. On our way to Cerulean City, we run into a series of encounters. En route 3, we find a Spearow, and not even 1 minute after the encounter, the game decides to tease me by letting me encounter a wild Darkrai. But being honest, I'd prefer not to use legendaries anyways. Consider yourself lucky this time, Darkrai. Ooh, a rare Pokemon, and for only 500 Poké-Dollars?
Shut up and take my money!
Well, after being scammed, we made our way into Mount Moon where our next encounter is a Geodude, which will be useful later on in the game. After a tedious run through Mount Moon, we made it over to Route 4, where we can find an Ekans, and at long last, we're at Cerulean City. I decided to bring with me Geodude in this gym, simply because I needed to level up for the third gym, whilst Floragato does the rest of the hard work. And after we managed to level it up just enough to match Misty's ace Starmie, you know what happens when a level 19 cat has an access to Seed Bomb this early on. After receiving both Water Pulse and the Cascade badge, we can talk to Misty for a free EV. What a nice person she is! On Route 5, we encounter an Oddish, which I will not be catching since I don't see any proper usage of Blossom or Vileplume in the future. And on Route 6, we encounter a Psyduck, which I decided not to catch since I prefer to use Gyarados over Golduck. Once we reach the Vermilion City, that gives us access to the Pokemon Renamer, which we immediately talk to and rename our Pokemon to the most dumbest yet obvious names you could probably think of. With the level cap increasing to Surge's level 30 Magneton, it was time for me to grind my Pokemon to match his level. And what better way to do that than committing mass murder to butterflies that Alas owns whilst taking away her life savings. Sorry not sorry. Throughout that process, we managed to attain several evolutions. Geodude into Graveler and immediately after into Golem, Eevee into Espeon, Ekans into Arbok, and finally Magikarp into Gyarados. With that being said, it was time to face off against Surge and his 4 electric types. Wait a minute, why did he bring 6 Pokemon with him? Well, that's because I completely forgot to place my Pokemon that I won't need into the PC. However, in this battle, I only kept switching them in order to level up, since the AI will always go for tackle against an immune to electric Pokemon like Golem, and we can use that to our advantage, easily making quick work of Surge's electric types and earning the Thunder Badge. Heading over to Lavender Town, we make a quick stop to Route 11, where we can find our next encounter, and Ekans. Yeah. You seem obsessed with me, aren't you, buddy? On Route 12, we run into a wild Wingull, which would have been a nice capture if Drizzle worked in this game, which is unfortunate. Upon reaching Lavender Town, we can get a free lucky egg from this NPC, which is crucial for grinding EXP, since it's a very slow process and doubling the XP we earn is a nice feature. After that, a series of captures happened. On Route 10, we find a Blitzel that I accidentally kill. Inside the Pokemon Tower, we run into a Shuppet. On Route 7, we find a Vulpix, which came at a perfect timing for the next gym. On Route 8, I come across a Whismur, which I don't catch despite the fact Exploud isn't a half bad Pokemon. Soon after, I made it to Celadon City, which after healing my Pokemon at the Poke Center, meant that it was time to go on a somewhat long grind, since Erika's ace Pokemon is a level 42 Grookey. Which is bizarre because why would you not evolve it into a Rillaboom at that point? The grind itself was not that difficult and tedious, except for that one close call where a critical hit takedown or flame wheel would have taken out my Golem. Once I finished taking away this gentleman's life savings and filed him for bankruptcy, I bought a Firestone to evolve my Vulpix into Ninetales, and then shifted my attention to the bug catcher inside of Erika's gym to grind even more EXP, leaving him with the same fate as the gentleman. You know, I honestly feel bad for having to rob people of their money, but as a wise person once said,
Here comes the money, 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 money. Dollar, 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 dollar.
During the process, we managed to get our Florigato to evolve into Meowscarada. Just look at how majestic he is. A couple minutes later, we managed to level up most of our Pokemon to meet the level cap, or at least be close to it. And now, it was time to take down Erica. However, a fatal error happens during the battle, and it's one that I was certainly frustrated for. As I sent out my Arbok to face off against her Tangela, it survived on what must be 1 HP, and Poison Sting was not able to kill it due to my miscalculation, resulting in the death of our beloved snake and causing us to lose the challenge. I was in shock. I was in disbelief. I wanted the whole world to swallow me because I caused my good friend Snake to die due to my stupidity. He was always there for me. The moments we shared together were always filled with laughter and fun. When he was just a small baby Ekans, neglected in the wild, left to die by the other wild Pokemon, he was truly thankful to be taken under my care. And as he fell in battle, he looked back at me with a tear in his eye that just screamed, "Thank you," making me break down in tears over my fallen friend. But this was not over, for revenge is an act of passion, and vengeance is an act of justice, and I will not fall down easily. I will get back up, even if I have to restart my journey and gather a stronger team. I will destroy everything in my path. I will meet Erica once more, and I will unleash true hell upon her for taking away my friend from me, because his spirit lives on in my memories and gives me power to achieve what I have been destined for, and I will fulfill my dream no matter how many times it takes. After thorough training, I have assembled a team that is out for blood. Anger fills their hearts over their fallen friend, and there was no chance they would let Erica away with her crime. And came the rematch. In comes the murderer of Snake, the ever so ruthless Tangela, and out comes my Fury, who wastes no time in making the first move, as it goes for Ice Fang. The freezing sensation of Gyarados' fangs sent shivers down the Tangela's spine, and not a moment too soon, it slurps up Erica's Tangela like a bowl of noodles, effectively getting revenge on the murderer. But it wasn't over yet, as she sent out her Grookey in an attempt to avenge her fallen comrade. But that was not going to happen, as I bring out my Ninetales, channeling its flames of anger into its veins, as it wastes no time in burning her Grass Monkey with its Flame Burst. But it wasn't done. QB was out with blood. Its rage was blind, as it stays in to battle Erica's Vileplume, which gets the same fate as Grookey. Nothing but its cremated remains lie on the floor. And lastly came Erica's last hope, Victory Bell. As Ninetales sat there, reminiscing about Arbok, it channels one last Flame Burst that gets a critical hit, burning away Erica and her entire team, and successfully avenging our fallen comrade, and earning the Rainbow Badge. With the entire Erica saga over now, it was now time to make haste as we journey to Fuchsia City, skipping the entire trainer path solely because most of them are extra, and I know only one trainer that gives us a bunch of EXP for us to grind from. But before we can get to him, I decided to see what encounters were there for me, and it's safe to say it's definitely not pleasing ones, so I just let them live and fled. Then I made my way back to the trainer I was talking about earlier, Scientist Lance, who owns a Dragonite and a Venomoth. Combining both of their total EXP, we get a total of 6012 EXP while holding the lucky egg. And not only that, but at this point in the game, the EXP is quite huge since a lot of trainers give no less than 7000 EXP, so we won't have to resort to battling weak trainers for long now.
A couple minutes of training later, I got most of my team close to Koga's level cap of 56. He's not so much of a difficult opponent, but the only problem is that Koga has multiple ways to poison our Pokemon, and his ace Gengar can be quite the nightmare to face. So I made sure I was well prepared when facing off against Koga, and praying that we don't get poisoned or at least we defeat most of his Pokemon before we do. He begins by sending his Coughing while we lead with Gyarados. We are off to a great start as he opts to go for tackles while we set up with Dragon Dance. Although sadly that wasn't going to last for long, as after Koga uses Smog, we get poisoned, putting us on a timer. So I opted to now take out his Coughing with an Aqua Tail. His ace Gengar then comes out, but because of our stat boosts, we take him out in one hit with Crunch.
Up next was his Weezing, but seeing how much Gyarados took damage, I decided not to risk going for Aqua Tail, and instead switched out into Mind, who can easily take out Weezing with one Future Sight. And the same goes to his last Pokemon, Muk, sealing the battle and winning us the Soul Badge.
Heading to Saffron City, we face off against this fisherman that for some reason has high-leveled Magikarps, which would have made him quite broken if he were to have Gyaradoses. You do you, buddy. Then we run around this grass patch for a new encounter, that being a Spinda, which I just ran from. Shortly after, I ran across this gentleman who is literally the most important trainer on this game, because 1, he gives off well over 8,000 EXP, and the money he gives is just stonks. So I sat here for a good while, leveling up my Pokemon, and filing the gentleman for bankruptcy to prepare for Sabrina.
Once I was satisfied with the levels of my team, I made a quick stop to the arcade, in hopes of getting battle points, which will be incredibly useful for EV training, since we can buy the proteins for our Pokemon to easen up the process of EV training. Though sadly, we earned only a mere 525 battle points, which is only capable of helping half our team at maximum. As the level cap increases to 65 against Sabrina, I almost had a close call with this lass and her 3 Pokemon. That would have spelled disaster for me, and you'll see why later on in the video. And so, came the time to challenge Sabrina. She leads with Kadabra, as I only need Meowscarada for this battle, and I would have had nightmares if I lost my Meowscarada to a Kadabra, because of those 2 damn special defense drops and a crit Shadow Ball. But I was safe to sweep her entire team with a combination of Knockoff and Seed Bomb, earning us the Marsh Badge. Our journey then continues to Cinnabar Volcano, but before that was a series of encounters and captures. On Route 18, a Hypno. And before our next encounter, you might be wondering why am I running back and forth? Well, that's because the scientist that's ahead of us is a complete threat to our entire team, capable of destroying me and ending my run for good. So, in order to avoid him, there is a glitch we can use to our advantage. You see, when we defeat a wild Pokemon, we have a few seconds of frame invincibility. Once the money award pops up on the screen, and by timing my run just perfectly, we can just barely avoid the trainer, and carry on with our journey. Inside the Saffron Water Plant, I captured a Luxray. And soon after in Cinnabar Volcano, we find our good old friend, Bolter the Graveler. Good to see you again, buddy. It was at this point in the game that I decided to maximize my Pokemon's IVs using an item called Poke Improves, which randomly maxes out an IV stat of a Pokemon, and by purchasing 36 of those, we can get all of our team to get max IVs. And seeing how difficult things will be getting for us from here on out, it was about time that we EV trained our Pokemon. With the 525 battle points we had obtained earlier, I used them to buy just enough vitamins for my Pokemon to easen up the process of EV training, since each Pokemon can only consume 20 vitamins per stat, equivalent to 200 EV points. And while we grind the remaining 52 EVs off of different sources. For speed, I fought this fisherman who has Magikarps. For attack, I fought against the last inside of Misty's gym. And for special attack, I ran to Saffron Power Plant to battle wild Magnezones and Duraludons, all of which took a relatively long time. Hours later, after EV training, the only thing that was missing was a proper nature on our Pokemon. With the Nature Stone, it changes a Pokemon's nature to a random one. This was basically a game of luck, since 30 Nature Stones were not enough to get the natures I needed. But alas, we managed to get all the natures that we need from our Pokemon. Once again, after another grind from this gentleman in preparation of Blaine's fire types and his level cap of 76, I was intending on using Nidoking to sweep all of his team. However, our biggest issue was Blaine's Charizard X and its broken moveset: Dragon Dance, Earthquake, Flare Blitz, and Dragon Claw. It almost feels like his Charizard came straight out of Smogon. So, in order to ensure our team's safety, we had to play twice as dirty and just bring in Gyarados, set up Dragon Dances, and drown his entire team with Aqua Tail to win us the Volcano badge. Immediately after, I made my way to Viridian Gym for even more grinding, since now that we have 7 badges, we can fight the best EXP source in the entire game, Rocket Grunt Yoshi, giving us a whopping 15,000 EXP per battle. And seeing how Giovanni's ace is a level 89, this wasn't going to take long. But now, let's talk about why Giovanni is a massive obstacle for Nuzlocke runners. With a team like that, Giovanni is bound to kill one of our Pokemon if we aren't careful enough. And his most notable threats, being both his Garchomp and Mewtwo Y, it meant that I needed to proceed with caution. And now comes the part where I should have really taken caution deep inside my heart. It's over. My calculations lied to me. My confidence and greed got the best of me. I did not anticipate his Garchomp to outspeed me in one shot with Stone Edge. I sat there on my screen, staring at it, in complete defeat, making me realize that it was impossible to beat the game with hardcore Nuzlocke rules, and at that, completely deathless. But it's not over yet.
Okay, this is getting annoying right now. Okay, we made it.